It's DSP's top 8 worst games of the year. Honorable mention, Killzone Shadowfall. Now, before you get up in a tizzy, if you're a fan of the Killzone franchise, let me preface this by saying it's an honorable mention. I did not give this game an official spot on my top 10 worst games of the year for the very reason that at least it's a full-length game with full-featured multiplayer, alright? This is my personal opinion about the game and about the whole Killzone franchise as a whole since it started. I think it sucks. I think that this is one of the most boring, blasé, generic franchises of an FPS ever created. And my personal opinion, having played every single one besides the first game, is that the only reason this series is successful is because it's PlayStation exclusive. If this were not a PlayStation exclusive game and it were cross-platform, I actually feel people would panic and say, no, it's boring, it's cliche, it's what we've played 100 times before. Unfortunately, because the fanboys love to defend their Sony, I think that that's what's going on with Killzone. And Shadowfall is no exception. Playing through about half of the campaign, I became so incredibly bored. It's so cliche. You run around an open world, doing mini objectives here and there, killing 100 generic enemies, which, by the way, horribly spawn around you in a way that's completely unfair. The only unique thing about the campaign is that you have this drone that's with you that can do different things. Sometimes it can create a force field to protect you. Sometimes it can go attack enemies by flanking them. And okay, in that regard, it's a little bit unique, but not really, because the only reason the droid's there is because it's a crutch. Because they decided that they were just going to have endless waves of enemies spawn around you. That's right, you'll just clear out a room, walk out of the room, and get shot in the back because an enemy spawned behind you. And that's how they made the game. It's artificially difficult so that you can use the droid to overcome overwhelming odds. It's not fun. It's annoying. It's boring. The story sucks. If you're not an ongoing fan of Killzone and you haven't played a previous Killzone game, you won't even have a fucking clue what's going on because they never explain it. It's a terrible fucking campaign. Then you get to the multiplayer, and after I only played a handful of matches, I said, it's the same fucking game. It's the same multiplayer that's been in Killzone since the beginning. There's nothing interesting here. There's nothing unique about this. If you've played one FPS online, you've played Killzone. That's what I mean. The only thing, if I could say one thing about the game, the graphics are great. But that's not a reason to buy a $60 game. I've said it about Rise on the Xbox One. I'll say it about Killzone Shadowfall. Skip it. Do not buy it because it's a launch game, because that's really the only reason people are going to buy this game, is because it's a PS4 exclusive and it's a launch title. Skip this shit and wait for better games. Now let's move on to the worst game of the year, which is number 1, Aliens Colonial Marines. Hoo boy, I don't even know how to begin describing what's so messed up about this game. Hey, let's make a game about Aliens Colonial Marines, you know, this ongoing kind of sci-fi story that people have loved since the 1990s when the movies came out. But let's actually barely put any aliens into the game, and let's have at least 60% of the game have you fighting generic humans. Huh? Hey, I've got an idea. Let's release a tech demo of the game earlier in the year to fool everyone and make them think the game's gonna look amazing. Then when we release the game, let's remove half of the graphical parts of the game so the game looks like shit. Huh? The story of Aliens Colonial Marines can probably only be eclipsed by that of Duke Nukem Forever. This was a game that was in development hell for lots of time. It went from studio to studio and finally landed where it did. However, what ended up happening was that they wanted to get the game out within a certain period of time, and they just didn't have the time or resources to do it. So the developer outsourced the game to an outside company to finish the majority of the levels, to create filler levels, and to finish the graphics. What that company ended up doing was cutting huge corners when it came to the graphics and the gameplay of the game. Apparently, if what's to be believed is true, the original game was never supposed to have human opponents in it. The original game was supposed to have multiple levels of unique aliens. It was supposed to be really neat. And that message and that vision was lost as this game was lost in development hell. I hate to say it because it happens all the time. You know, a lot of such similar things happen with Duke Nukem Forever, but this game just unfortunately got shat out the back, and a game with massive potential that people have been waiting for years and years and years ended up being pretty terrible. Now, in its defense, the actual multiplayer wasn't too bad, but it also wasn't great. I could see how it would have some potential, and you could probably enjoy the multiplayer for what it is, but for a game that had so much hype, a bait and switch, it's unacceptable. You cannot show us a tech demo of a game running at higher effects, lighting effects, all kinds of things, and then when the retail game comes out, you take them all out. That's just unacceptable. It's a bait and switch. It's a dirty trick, and I'm not here, and I'm not going to allow it to just be scraped by and not be called down. This game had massive potential. Most disappointment of the year, the biggest flop of the year, critically panned, gamers panned it, everyone panned it, no one bought it. The people who did probably broke the fucking disc. It's a terrible game. It's a shame that it was so bad, but them's the breaks. And alright, thank goodness we're through with that. Here's to another year of great games and hopefully a shorter list of bad ones. This year's going to be interesting because we are moving into the next gen. We're going to see what the next gen exclusives turn out to be. And please, please don't let them all turn into development nightmare messes like some of this year's worst games in the countdown. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you later.